I'm Travis Brown, founder and CEO of Mojo Marketing and Media. And this is my podcast, where I talk to the most successful Black and brown business executives who've broken through the barriers of today's business culture. Welcome to Mojo Up Live, the diverse and talented podcast. I'm your host, Travis Brown, and today I got my good friend, Eddie Rivers, who is the president and CEO of Esource Resources. But I know him as a husband, as a father, a military man, and an IT guru. Welcome to the show.
Not an IT guru, for sure.
So, Eddie, I got to jump it right in and talk about, you're a military man, and we've been in a couple circles where you've talked about your military experience in West Point. Talk to me about, how did you choose to go to West Point and military? Why was that important to you?
Well, I'll tell you, to be honest, I didn't know about West Point until my last year in high school. Unfortunately, back then, West Point wasn't really for minorities. And so I didn't know about it, first of all. But I had a very good counselor who saw me as being a good fit, and usually prepare for West Point by getting ready from 9th grade on. Luckily, in our family, my dad made us all study hard from day one. So got to West Point, got to my 12th year in high school. My counselor goes, "Eddie, you're a fit." I said, "How's that?" "Academically, athletically, and a leader, you're a fit, so apply." Sounds good. So I applied and got in, luckily, my last year. Normally it's a longer process, but to me it's a really good deal because I was a guy who wanted to do well academically as far as my pursuits. I love my sports as well, and so I was a leader by just very luck, so forth. So luckily West Point was the right place for me, and I did very well after I finished the academy and did my time in the military. And from that, IBM hired me because I was well-rounded, had a military background, and was mature.
So for people that aren't as familiar with the differences between all of these different militaries we have, but the West Point experience is different, right? Nothing against anybody, any other, but when you talk about it, and I was at a meeting one day, and there's a Navy person, Army, different people, there's something different about talking about going to West Point. What's that about?
But it's a tradition. It was opened up in 1802, okay? And it's a school designed for leaders, okay? Designed for engineers, thinkers. And so what most folks aren't aware of, West Point ranks among the Ivy League schools, okay? It's really the #1 school in the country by many trade ranks as well. And so I love being part of the academic place where it's considered to be that high. And I love playing D1 sports, To be honest, I couldn't play D1 sports in most schools, so the West Point was good. And last but not least, the legacy is so cool that, like Notre Dame, like Harvard, right? The West Pointers stay together long term. I got a question, concern, or need, call my classmates, call my alumni, and we have ways to get it done. So it's a good school.
I have a lot of men in my family, my dad, 3 uncles that were all military, mainly Army or National Guard. But I once heard, a slogan called, "The military is no place for a black man." And, you went and were part of the military long time ago. Yeah. I'm presumably it's very different today. But what was it like back then, being definitely in the minority? And what did that teach you about military experience and what you're trying to get out of it?
I love and I hate the military, and I'll say why. The love part is my dad, who was a scholar as well back in the 1950s, A+ student and so forth, band leader, but couldn't find a place for a scholarship or school. So by default, went to the military. The military took in, almost everybody. My dad went in the military and excelled. Became got 3 degrees, 4 degrees while there, a leader among men. Unfortunately though, in the military back then, he was a star on base, but off base, he was not. For example, back then, he was in Redstone Arsenal, Alabama, which is in the middle of Huntsville. And so on base, we're in an integrated neighborhood in the 60s. Integrated neighbors, black and white and so forth as well. But off base, it was the South. So literally, one day we go off base and he's driving his car and this 6'2", 220-pound man starts to mutter, Yaza, to avoid being in trouble with his kids in his car. Because back then, there was no automatic use of the gas station. There was a water fountain for blacks and whites as well. So me, a 6-year-old kid in the 60s, before things changed officially, could not really do certain things. So my dad was a very careful black man off base for our sakes, whereas on base, he was a man, an officer. West Point to me was an avenue to go and become a leader and to maximize that stuff in the new times. In 76.
That's when I was born.
Oh, okay, buddy. I started West Point in 76. And in my class, we had 1,500 people, right? Of those people, the first class of females, we had 119. Of those, 2 black ladies. Of those 1,500 people were also 32 blacks. So 32 blacks in a class of 1,500 was pretty small, but that's basically 1 per company, West Point. And so it was a new world for us to actually go out there and become leaders at a school that was primarily majority. But because we had done very well in high school, we wanted to take the challenge and do well there as well, so forth. So been very involved in West Point, loved West Point, and since finishing in 80, I've been involved in trying to get more students to West Point of color. So right now, literally every year, I help to recruit minorities and women, well, all people as well, but I do focus on getting minorities, women in West Point to raise the number. In fact, I was just in DC last week celebrating a function there with at the school of Howard University, where now we have probably about 14% minorities at West Point. Overall, we have about 20% females at West Point, and I take great credit in helping out my classmates like Pat Walker Locke to raise that number, a lot.
And I wanted to start there because I know how foundationally important, West Point has been to you, how you talk about it, interact with people, and some of the work that you still do. But I want to back up prior to West Point. Where are you from? What was that journey look like? To even get to the point where you had that conversation with your counselor about going to West Point?
A blessed man. My dad was a military officer, so we traveled quite a bit. I'm a military brat. 12 schools in 12 years. Some schools 6 months, some schools 2 years, but overall 12 schools 12 years, from Florida to Alabama to Texas to Germany. And I loved it all because I enjoyed traveling. I enjoyed making friends regularly because either make friends fast or have none. So I made friends fast. And so nowadays I have friends all over the world. And when I travel somewhere, I call somebody and have dinner because they're my friends from the past. But to me, being able to travel as a kid back then was cool because I could avoid the South or avoid being in certain places where I was held back because of my color. Luckily, because my dad and mom pressed us to do education first and foremost, I was always in the advanced classes, and I was always in the ones that are integrated because that's where we had the majority were Caucasian. I was a black young man, and so at times I was the only guy in the whole class of color. At times, 1 or 2 of us. But I enjoyed a chance to grow and learn from everybody right away. And so my goal has been, since those days of being in school in Germany, etc., was to be able to bring everybody together. So my first real involvement there was I actually went back from Germany to Florida in '73 when the schools got integrated. And so I was part of the deal where I got the north side of town was all black, the white side of town all white, to get together to form another school that became integrated and became good over time. But I was involved in the early knockdown, dragouts, verbally and physically as well. But luckily, we survived and did very well. So I feel good about being an integrator and a connector.
And what I know of you today, that's exactly who you are, at least in my relationship with you, seeing you always connecting people, setting up meetings, talking to people. Moffs obviously sits on top of another broken egg. I think that's like your second office is downstairs. I can't ever have a meeting there without you already being there. But I know he is this connector, yet business owner, and kind of very involved philanthropy. We'll get into some of that later. But so you're at IBM, right? Take me to IBM to here.
Well, first of all, from military to IBM, I went there to apply for a job, right? I asked for a job as a personnel manager. They go, no, you're a sales guy. I says, I ain't sold squat my entire life. You're a sales guy. They trained me as a sales guy, and I became a sales guy and came pretty good.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that quite a bit. But then while being there for about 8 years, I got recruited away by other IBM partners to be their vice president of operations and sales. And so doing that for about 3-4 years, I really enjoyed doing so, made quite a bit of money, but I was traveling a lot, cross country regularly. Now, nice flights, nice hotels, but missed my kids. So we did a deal where I ended up buying part of the firm and starting my own firm, Esource, here in Indiana in 2000. So since 2000, I've been involved as an IT owner, manager, entrepreneur. Now, I'm not an IT guy, okay? I just have great ability to connect people together who want to buy product and sell product, right? So my team is good. Yeah. I'm a connector, and so in sales and in entrepreneurial stuff, in charitable stuff, I connect. Yeah. I enjoy putting people together who do things well, so that's my job.
And when we think about, obviously, use a connector, what's the next skill that you have had to develop that's really just made you successful both in business and nonprofit sector?
Empathy. I care about a lot of people, all people. Want to find ways to enhance all our environments. And so whether it be a salesperson, a customer, a child, anybody, I want to be able to make their lives better. I know I was very blessed because in high school, a counselor guided me towards West Point. In one of my degrees, I have a law degree as well, okay? My law professor, a 80-year-old, 4-foot-tall Jewish person, taught me about diversity, integration, love to the nth degree. I learned more about being a supporter of diversity from her than anybody in my whole life. And so I applaud her as well as being two of my most positive people in my life. And so my deal is now to give back to those folks around me who don't have the same blessings. So that's what I do. I give back now because I gained so much before myself.
I introduced you as a husband and father, so let's go there because you're a husband and a father. Talk about what do those two worlds look like for you?
That's being a father and a husband are my main goals, okay? Married 36 years ago to a very nice lady from Indiana. I came here to Indiana temporarily. I was going to leave, right? She wouldn't leave, so I stayed here. But I love it now. It's been here for almost 40 years now, so it's been good. We have 3 kids together, 2 boys and a daughter, and that's my life. And I enjoy them as being part of the family, part of the business, part of my charitable life as well. So we do things together on a very high level. We live in the same area, literally from our house to my 3rd child's home. We are about half an hour apart all total. So we have regular meetings, activities, again, business and pleasure. And I also have 2 beautiful granddaughters also. So I'm very blessed.
So I got to ask, so what's the key to staying married for 36 years?
Say yes, ma'am, a lot. No, we work together quite a bit, and I don't forget that she does a great job raising our kids. Again, when I was first at IBM and traveling, I was gone quite a bit, and our 3 kids were really handled by her, okay? So I didn't get involved in their lives a lot until maybe 7-year-olds and so forth as far as time-wise. So she's been a great mother to my kids, our kids, and so together we do great things for our kids. And so literally we work together on decisions. whatever we do, we figure it out together in some fashion. Most times, quietly.
So I also know that when it comes to philanthropy, you're involved in several different boards. I know CICF and a few other boards. Talk to me about, like, how do you choose a board? Because I'm thinking about people that listen, like, how do you choose a board that you're involved in? And when you get involved, how do you really get involved?
Well, the first part is I don't say no that often. I say yes too much. So I try to do is manage the number I'm involved in. I'm involved in about 10 solid charities right now, including Hamilton County Community Foundation, CICF, Catholic Charities, and a few others as well. The Fishers Armed Forces Services Commission. Those things are all important to me because I love helping out kids especially. So my goal is to get involved in charities where I can influence kids' lives from a young child on and so forth. So whenever there's a opportunity to give a kid a better chance, count me in, okay? When I get involved in it, I do it with my time, my little bit of money, and my influence as well. I'll share those things with all my friends and so forth. And I have many because I'm old, okay? At my stage in life, I have about 45 years of activity since college, okay?
Have you ever met a person, do you have anybody you don't like? Like, you're just such an easygoing, friendly guy.
I try to like everybody, and there's some folks that don't like as much. But no, I try to enjoy everybody because I'm a God person. Okay, I believe in God totally, and I don't push on anybody. But I know that I want people to be in a positive fashion, so I enjoy that quite a bit.
You're talking about, from a charity perspective, impacting other people's lives. But back to your kids' life. So you have 3 adult kids. When you think of, as a father, what you're trying to impart in them, like, what were so many things we can teach our kids, like, what were the guiding principles? Like, man, I just got to make sure my kids understand this.
Well, first of all, I wanted my kids to not fight internally, right? So they are told to ensure how to love each other, first of all, a lot. Be their supporter for their siblings from day one. And then to understand that they're blessed, okay? My kids have always had not a silver spoon, but a better opportunity because we chose to get ourselves off the ground first. And so my kids have been very blessed. And so we in turn have them give back early and often. So from grade school on, they've been involved in charitable stuff, okay? Additionally, respect is key. My kids still say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. I know it's not culturally cool now, but we do so regardless because it shows respect. And so we try to do is share that love with everybody. That's what we do. And last but not least, I was told as a kid, education is key. So I have several degrees, and my kids are in the same boat. They got to go to school, got to keep learning as well, and be current. So I think education, love, and support and respect are all the key for us.
Mm-hmm. And you got that one kid of yours that's in that graphic design area. If you just don't get caught slipping, she might be here at Mojo Up. No,
she's good, but she's all right.
So now you have this different role as a grandfather.
Yes, sir.
Is it grandpa, grandfather, pop? What is it?
No, I'm called Pop Pop.
Pop Pop.
Yeah. My wife is Mimi. I'm Pop Pop. Yes,
and what did your kids call your dad and mom?
Granddaddy.
Granddaddy.
On one side, and other one was granddad. Granddaddy and granddad.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So you're Pop Pop. All right. So what does that world look like? What's that look like for you now?
Oh man, it's easy really because my wife is the one who's just totally immersed in the love of my granddaughters. She likes to buy and cuddle and so forth there all the time. So when she buys and cuddles, I get full credit for it as well. But no, they're all beautiful. They're smart. And I love to just kind of give them things to help them to grow as well. So now, I think when I first got involved in my kids' education, I did so later on in life as far as, funding and training. I'm now involved with my kids now with funding and advice and counsel early on as well. So I want to have my grandkids be as sharp as my kids are, if not more. So each group has to be better than the last, so forth. So now with my being able to give back to my kids, hopefully their kids can be even better. That's my goal.
You know, talking about where we are as a culture, I mean, as an American culture right now, and so we're in this shift of, you know, talking about, you know, diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're talking about more seats at the table. We're talking about, you know, minority representation, Black-owned business opportunities. Like we're having conversations that I feel like, at least in my 46 years, we didn't used to have. But in your journey, right, you've had to, I'm guessing, had to go through some landscape when that wasn't always popular, it was always acceptable. You're the only Black, you know, male person, business owner. So talk about that part of the story of what that was like to have to navigate through some of those challenging times.
I'll be honest, I was worried about being able to have my own business at one time because of the implications of, you know, what everybody supported and so forth. But I was blessed because when I formed Esource back in 2000, my client base from IBM embraced me as a good solution, for one. But then two, at that time, they're just starting to have this diversity thing as well out there. And so when I tried to be a regular business and try to sell as a regular business, my clients like Lily and Cummins said, "Aren't you a minority?" I said, "Yes." "Get certified."
You're like, last time I checked.
I said, "Get certified." I said, "Okay." And then I said, "Aren't you military?" "Yes, I am." "Get certified." "Aren't you a disabled veteran also?" "Get certified." I said, "Guys, I will, but why?" "Well, it's because they wanted me to be able to represent it legally, okay? Too many times back in the 2000 time frame, people were doing things as a diverse business, not really being diverse, okay? They wanted to actually have somebody who had those, the background of diversity, but had a quality business and a quality background to be their supporters. And so I was blessed to be able to take my quality firm with, the right kind of things in place, real live to my client base. And so I've been blessed to be one of the first to be able to get approved. But then also, I didn't want to be the only one. So I was dragging folks along, and we still are. My goal is to employ as many females, minorities, veterans as possible, or to find ways to get them employed and involved as well. So I made it as a blessing. And so as I go on, I want to find ways to enhance the lives of others also.
Somebody listening might be like, all right, man, everything just works out for Eddie Rivers. Everything's just easy flowing. You guys always smiling. He's connected to everybody. But there had to be some obstacle. What was the obstacle that kind of maybe shocked you or grounded you or made you go, holy shit, I don't know if this is going to work? Like, did you have that? And if so, what was that?
Everybody in business has ups and downs, okay? Had my worst down about 2004 when I had to really change my whole firm around because of some really bad partnerships. We actually had to just fire about 80 employees and start again.
How many?
80, 80. And so I went from a high of all highs, I have my firm doing very well, to being able to having to fire everybody. And I found them all jobs, okay, and start again. But the thing was, I went from being pretty well off monetarily to being pretty poor monetarily, but still a lot better than most. So I almost felt sorry for myself at first, but then I realized I was still doing pretty good compared to most. So I used that as a carrot to keep working from there. And so from being here to here overnight, I realized I was still above this. So now when I gain things, it's a perspective, okay? I'm never going to be probably like I was back then, but I'm better off than before, and my family's together and doing well, and I'm blessed. So no, it's never a straight line deal with military life or entrepreneurial life. It's a challenge, but you got to survive it.
And I've always had that. I'm right in the middle of building a company, and all the things of trying to figure out how to scale, when to scale, and people, and profitability, and it's a lot to figure out. And the only thing that's helping me is kind of, I think what you're saying is, like, for one, perspective of this is not a sprint. Like, this is a marathon, and you're going to have to go through some significant pockets of that up and down. Know they're coming, prepare for them, embrace, and be able to do that. And so something that's definitely helped me. So there's a 30-something, 20-something, maybe an 18-something out there. What would you tell your 18-year-old or even 25-year-old Eddie Rivers self, now that you've kind of gone through it, learned it, the ups and downs, seeking back, what would you tell them some of the keys are to making it?
Like I told others before, my dad told me, education is key. So education, be on the learning train ongoing, for one. Number two is never burn a bridge. I mean, I don't want to ever burn a bridge with any firm or any person, because those things will come back to you long term, okay? Another thing is, is try to plan ahead for those tough time frames, because you never know when it's going to happen, okay? It could be bright skies, sunshine for days. All of a sudden that storm comes and you got to find a way to get by it.
Yeah.
So just education, I'm telling you, never burn a bridge, and try to prepare for the unseen things as well.
Great advice. I wish I'd taken some of that myself throughout my years, right? All right, I got one final question, but before I do that, I got the Mojo Up hot seat. So some rapid fire questions,
Okay.
One word or phrase answers. Here we go. Favorite place to vacation?
Florida.
Coolest city you've ever been to?
Gosh, Frankfurt, Germany.
Favorite homemade meal?
Easy, fried chicken. Sorry.
A favorite restaurant?
Sullivan's.
Favorite breakfast restaurant?
Downstairs.
Another broken egg, right? A brand that you love?
Nike.
Favorite sports team?
The Colts. Good or bad?
Good or bad? Favorite college?
West Point.
The last TV show or TV series that you've binge watched?
Oh, This Is Us.
Gosh, that's a great one. Man, that finale got to me. I can say that.
Amen.
A must-watch movie?
I think Remember the Titans.
A great book you would recommend?
Oh my gosh, a lot of books. Don't take it wrong, but it's sincere. The Bible. I read it 4 times.
Favorite type of music?
I like all genres, but probably the best is soft jazz.
Soft jazz. Your hype song?
We ready.
We read. All right. Okay. And this is going to be hard for you to answer. I already know it, but a nonprofit you love to support?
Kids Voice of Indiana. That's my heart. They do great things for kids in a court of law. These kids who've been abused, neglected, and so forth. I mean, literally, we at Kids Voice are able to get them into a positive situation and a chance to do well in life.
So Eddie, there's a point in time where you have a tombstone. It's going to have a number, this dash that represents your entire life, and then another number. And when people are talking about who Eddie Rivers was, what do you hope they say about you?
He sincerely cared. Yeah. And honestly, I get emotional now because I wasn't before. In years past, I was a tough guy, but I want to know that they believe that I did care sincerely.
Well, we've been on a few-year journey to get to know each other, and if I don't know anything else about you, I know that you truly care about people, connecting people, making people's lives better, and for that, I appreciate you.
Likewise, buddy.
You get the official honor to close out our session.
It's a wrap.
Oh, hold on, you got to hit the clapper.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm a rookie, buddy. That's a wrap.